Hello, everyone. Here we are then. It's the John Gaunt Show. And the question today, Starmer, is he Trump's lapdog? It's Wednesday as I'm doing this live performance. You might be listening to it on replay. He goes to America tomorrow. He goes to Washington, D.C. to see Trump. So I'm asking today, is there any point in him going? Now, Macron has been there. The fact that his tough negotiating style has meant that Zelensky is coming to the table. He's going to pull it off, isn't he? Not Starmer, Trump, just as I predicted. And all those media lovers, those uber liberals, those established politicians, the BBC who hate the word Trump, they're all going to look stupid. He is going to pull off this deal. He is going to bring peace between Russia and Ukraine. We're going to probably put soldiers in there as peacekeepers. I'm not too happy about that. But if you've seen my cartoon today, you'll know what I think about Starmer. He's a lapdog. That's my view. You might have a different view. He's a lapdog to Trump. And when he comes back tomorrow with his tail between the legs, he won't have achieved anything. And let me tell you something else. He's lying. In Parliament today, he didn't lie because you can't. But when they asked him about, is any of this extra money that you've taken off the third world effectively, is any of it paying for the Chagos Isles deal? He minced his words. He didn't give a straight answer. And it's not 6 billion or whatever he says, 13 billion. It's about half that. He's playing with words like a clever lawyer does. I wouldn't trust that man. I bet he can't even lie straight in bed. What do you reckon? And he's got the charisma, as I keep saying, of a recycled paper bag. So that's why I put the boot in today in the cartoon. If you've not seen it yet, have a quick look on Twitter, Facebook, or indeed on YouTube. And don't forget, this is going to be repeated. You can watch it whenever you fancy. And there's also a podcast version of it as well. Mickey B says, and this was before the show started, John, my man, your thumbnail wins the internet. This is the one where I've got Trump, right, with a dog leash, and it's all been done by AI. It's bloody clever stuff, that. And he's got Starmer as his lapdog. Then Tomo Papillon, I love that film, Dustin Hoffman. Papillon, I love you. And Dustin Hoffman, of course, Steve McQueen. Hi, John, fellow Cov kid living here in Devon. Good to have you on board, my friend. Another one saying, hi, John. Another one, Magpie 1972. Hi, John. Starmer should be part of the MASH advert. Yeah, he does sound like those robots in that. You're right. Right now, we've had all the hellos and all the rest of it. Let's get down to the serious business. At this moment, he's sitting in his white leather seat. Hope he's got a towel on the seat, because he is absolutely bricking it as he goes to see Trump. Trump is going to make mincemeat of him. Trump is going to humiliate him. He messed around with Macron the other day, but he got a deal with Macron. Zelensky is going over on Friday, but he's now going to have the minerals. And when people keep going on about the minerals, that's just like paying reparations. It's just like paying for how we had to pay the Americans before. Why shouldn't Ukraine pay it? They're going to be a very rich country if they're liberated and they've got all these minerals. So KeirStarmer is heading to Washington to discuss the possible Ukraine-Russia peace deal. But will it actually achieve anything? Well, I think it will come off this weekend, or well on the way this weekend, but it won't be to do with anything that Starmer says. Starmer's an irrelevance. And in a way, we as British people, I know he's let us down, but we've got to realise our place in the world isn't where it used to be. Britannia no longer rules the waves. Britannia could hardly rule the channel. That's why everyone is getting in. We've got no boats. My little nephew's got more boats in his bathtub than we've got boats or submarines. We just have to accept where we are. And that's what annoys me about Starmer. He slags off Trump. He slags off the Americans. Lammy calls him a member of the Ku Klux Klan and a racist before they were elected. But he says we need America as a backstop force. He's got some cheek, hasn't he? That two-bit lawyer. And no wonder he was a lawyer with the DWP. He's the exact polar opposite of Trump. Trump takes risks. Those risks make him money. That's how he's become the billionaire he is. Starmer's never, well, there's some rumors, but Starmer's never taken a risk in his life. He's Mr. boring, boring, isn't he? So we've got a position where Macron's already met Trump. Zelensky is meeting him on Friday, but he's agreed to the minerals, or so we're told. And in a way, and that's again why I made him a lapdog today, we've already capitulated to the Americans or to Donald Trump, haven't we? Because Donald Trump has turned around and he's cut foreign aid. Now, I agree with him. I'd slash it completely. At times like this, I'm sorry, charity begins at home. I couldn't believe that David Miliband, you know, that he wanted to be prime minister at one point, the brother of the idiot who's in charge of climate, Ed Miliband. Well, his brother, he's moaning today about all these charities and these poor people around the world. He runs a thing called International Rescue. Sounds like the Thunderbirds, doesn't it? I tell you what, Starmer should run it. He's like a Thunderbird with one or two strings missing, isn't he? The boring TWIT. However, back to Miliband, he was bleating today. Do you know why he's bleating? He gets £1 million allegedly a year in wages from that charity. £1 million. International Rescue. Well, people like that, as far as I'm concerned, we have to cut it. So Starmer's cut a lot, right? And we're all in favour of that. No one's going to slag him for that. But it's not enough, because the cut he's made and the increase he's going to make on defence, which is taking up to 2.5%, he's been bragging the last couple of days. Oh, that was a manifesto commitment, and we're doing it early. Yeah, but you're only doing it early because you decided you had no choice. You're dancing to the tune of Donald Trump. You haven't even seen him yet, and you're bricking yourself. You're second-guessing what Trump wants. It's a bit like, I remember when I worked at the BBC, Greg Dyke took over the BBC, and I was on this little station in Coventry, CWR, and everyone's going, oh, yeah, Greg wants, he thinks this, he thinks that. They were all second-guessing what this bloke would do once he was in charge of the BBC in this outpost called Coventry. It was nonsense. Well, it's the same thing happening now. Can you see it in the media? Oh, what if he does this? What if he does that? I've just been watching a press conference, the first press conference of the whole cabinet, Donald Trump's cabinet, and it all seemed eminently sensible to me. He was asking questions on the hoof, whatever people wanted to know. And it looks like he's doing the deals already. He's spoken to Putin on the phone. He doesn't want Zelensky involved too early, because then it just gets to fisticuffs and you don't move it forward. That's just logical. I've been saying this for days and days, and I've been getting shot down by the uber liberals who think I'm a fascist because they think Donald Trump's a fascist. He's been in power for 4 weeks, and he's actually now going to bring peace to the Middle East. He's bringing peace now between Ukraine and Russia. And what are these liberals going to say next? Oh, he said that thing about grabbing a woman by the pussy. Oh, he's a rapist. Not true. But they'll just bring up all that. Sometimes you have to say, actually, he is good at getting a deal. But Starmer, I can't see the point in him going. We could save the fuel. That would please Ed Miliband, wouldn't it? There's no point in him going. What has he got to add to the debate? He's not going to be a strong negotiator, is he? Because even if he was, Trump would just ignore him. So we have to bow to the US interests. So what does that mean for our role in global diplomacy? It means we haven't got one, really. And we just have to live up to that. But let me go back to the Chega scholars. I actually now believe the way he wouldn't answer that question, Kemi kept asking him in the Commons and other people as well, is any of this money that you're taking from foreign aid going to go to the Chega scholars? Now, remember, we're giving those isles to Mauritius. They're not anywhere near the place. They've got no rights to it, but we're giving it them, and then we're going to lease it back. And it's something like you couldn't make this shit up, 9 million a year. or 9 billion. I can't remember what it is. Fantasy money, monopoly money. The accusation is he's going to use some of this money that he's taken from foreign aid because he wants that deal to go through. Now, again, it's nonsense because when he gets to see Trump, when Trump says, okay, enter, as if he's going into the headmaster's office to get the cane, the moment Starmer says, we are going to give that back to Mauritius, therefore China, no way is Trump going to play ball with that. Trump's going to tell him, get out. So one of the things I think you can be certain of, when he comes back, Starmer would have changed his tune again. A bit like he stood up in the Commons today and said, it's not that I'm doing what Trump wants or America wants. It's just that we're chiming together. What's that smell? You've got it. It's BS. And he wouldn't answer that question. And the reason he can't answer that question is that's how Boris Johnson got deposed. If, as a member of Parliament, you lie in Parliament, I know, bear in mind, stop laughing at the back. If you lie and you get found out and it's on the record, that's you finished. That's what the game was today with KeirStarmer. I'm convinced some of this money is going to go there. And anyway, 2.5% isn't enough. Trump wants 5. Now, obviously, that's his negotiation position. But it's not even going to happen to 2027. I don't think Trump's going to play ball with that. I was just watching the press conference. Trump saying, we've been paying for all this for too long. Europe's got to pay their bit. And he's right, isn't he? That's only fair. Why are we giving money abroad when we're not paying our debts to protect ourselves? And I can't believe, have you seen that other one that he's put out today? A video where he talks about protecting our people, protecting Britain. He can't protect our own bloody borders. He'd rather go and protect the Ukrainians than us. That's what Starmer is. Starmer is a poodle. Sorry, that's an insult to poodles. He's a lapdog. And the only way he's going to stay in power is if he becomes a total lapdog to Mr. Trump, which is why I've done that picture today. Magpie72, hi, John. Starmer should be part of the mash. I've done that one already, sorry. I hope Trump gives a very verbal warning to Starmer, says Thornmore on Facebook. He will. Mickey B, I love that Starmer made his promises about defense budget before heading to Washington. A bit of preemptive brown nosing. Mickey, of course that's what he's doing. He's scared stiff. So he's sort of saying, Mr. Trump, thank you for seeing me, sir. Thank you for seeing me. Yes, I've got our defense budget. I've got some more money for it. And I've cut foreign aid. Oh, no, wonderful. Elon Musk will just be sitting in the corner laughing his duck off. I've just seen Trump in that press conference. Well, it's not a press conference. It's like an open thing. Anyone can ask any question they wanted. He says, I'm going to do deals with Russia. I'm going to do deals with China. I've had some good conversations with Mr. Putin. Our press are trying to wind it up. The Daily Mail, the BBC, Channel 4, all across them. They want a war, almost. What if Starmer comes back and says, well, actually, Trump's got it settled. There's a deal. What are they going to say then? I don't think the Russians want to go to war with us. None of this excuses what Putin did. It was wrong. Yes, it was. But you have to live in the here and now, and you need to sort it out. And that's what Trump's doing. How come minerals have become a thing, says Magpie 1972? Well, because they've got all of these minerals, and they're the minerals we need for chips, and not fish and chips, electronic chips and stuff. It's a very wealthy country, and I think they've only really realised just how wealthy. One of the problems is some of the land where those minerals are now under Russia control. And what Trump is saying, we've paid trillions in to protect you. Millions of your people and Russians have died. Let's stop the killing, and then you start paying me back through the minerals. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? That seems perfectly reasonable. What about us? We gave them all those tanks, those chieftain tanks. Are we going to get anything back for them? No, not with Starmer. He's just give. You know why? Because he's a typical socialist. He loves spending your money, just like councils. How can councils be going bankrupt? The length and breadth of this country, both Conservatives and Labour, I'll tell you why, because they're all pig-ignorant thickos. All they've got to do is empty the dustbins, put the street lights on, fill up the paddling pool in the summer. It ain't that difficult, but they've effed it up. I can't believe Starmer ever got in power, says Tom Moore on Facebook. Nor can I. Bring on Nigel Farage as PM, he says in his next tweet. Rare earth minerals are the key components to making batteries. He's talking to Magpie. It's needed for the great electronic revolution. Thank you. Look, if you're going to have a conversation with each other, wait till after the show because it's getting in the way. Let's talk about new things. Noel Hand says, I think he is certainly the best tosser. What does that mean, Noel? I don't quite get that. I guess the details of the mineral deal will be thrashed out during the peace talks. No, they're being thrashed out now. He's already done that. That deal is done. Even Zelensky's people are saying that. Although he's making a big huff and puff today saying, if it's not quite to my satisfaction, I won't go to Washington. It's just bull. There's a lot of BS flying around at the moment, right? You've got to accept that. But I just think Starmer is useless. This whole idea that he's now into more military funding and that makes him a better leader. We've all thought, well, I fell for it a bit yesterday. And then I thought it through. 1, it's not a lot of money. 2, it's not until 2027. 3, it's only because he's bricking himself because he's got to go and see Trump. And he's become like a mini Trump or try to be. But you see, the problem is he's not Trump, is he? Trump's got charisma. He's got personality. He's got business experience. All the things that Starmer hasn't got. And he can take people with him, which is why he got this massive majority. And the Liberals hate it. The Liberals today on the BBC moaning about, some Albanian lesbian trans knitting club who also do cross-country crocheting. I'm making that bit up. They're going to lose their funding. Well, do you know what? I don't give an SH1T. Charity begins at home. Putin ain't going anywhere else. Countries closer to Russia aren't panicking. Just ask Hungary or Slovakia, says Pom. Thank you. John Farr, I honestly can't remember the last time the Granny Harmer, I love that name, Granny Harmer Starmer actually gave a straight answer to a straight question. Well, he's not straight, is he? Sorry, don't misinterpret that. He's not straight. He never answers a question straight. He's a typical lawyer. Yeah, he's a liar. And today, although he didn't lie, it's got to be careful here, John, careful what you say. He didn't give an answer. So therefore, he can't be done because that's what Boris did. Big mistake. Graham Eardley, he knows politics. He says on YouTube, how is Starmer going to have serious Labour Party management problems now? He's cutting aid. Did you see Angela Rayner's face the other day when he announced it? Yeah, she had a face like a slapped ass, didn't she? She hated it. Everything Starmer said in Parliament yesterday or the day before was a direct contradiction of the manifesto. Well, we know he breaks all those promises. It wasn't worth the paper it was written on, right? But they were manifesto commitments. And when he said it breaks my heart effectively to cut foreign aid, why? When we got people staying in 4-star hotels and you can't stop them coming in, why are you worried about that? I hate these virtue signaling tosspots. I hate them. I despise them. Look, we are the most tolerant, generous country in the world. Look what we did for the Ugandan nations. Look what we did for the people from Hong Kong. Look what we did for the people of Ukraine. We'll always give refuge to people who are genuinely fleeing persecution. That's the British way. We're tolerant. Some would say sometimes too tolerant. So I'm not going to take any lectures from any liberals, Guardian reading, Birkenstock, open-toed sandal, lentil burger eating tosspots that I'm a fascist if I think Starmer's wrong for getting rid of foreign aid. He should have cut it completely, but he won't do that. Because if you broke him in half like a stick of Blackpool rock, he's got the word liberal, probably spelled incorrectly because it was somebody who was doing not a foreigner, not allowed to say that, doing a side job from The Guardian, and they can never spell, right? So that's what I reckon. But Angela Rayner, very annoyed. And the backbenchers are very annoyed. And this just, it will destroy his party. But let me tell you, when it comes out that the Chagos are getting some of this money, not the Chagos, the Mauritians, i.e. China, then there's going to be a problem. And then to contradict that, Trump today said, I'll do deals with China. They can do business in our country. See, this doesn't fit the narrative of the mainstream media. and the established political class. They want you to believe that China and Russia are the reds under the bed and they're going to come and eat your babies. It's pathetic. The world has changed. Jedi, isn't the problem all politicians serve themselves than the people who voted them in? Yes. Trump is a pure businessman. Look at his threats to Mexico, Canada, Panama, and now the Ukraine. He still thinks he's being on The Apprentice. And if you disagree, you're fired. Well, let's go through the ones you said. Mexico. He was right to threaten Mexico. They were basically saying, on you go and get across the border. He's put drones there. He's put the military there. And he's building the wall. It's going to be a beautiful wall, right? He's had enough. And I agree with him. What was the other one? Canada, a bunch of jumped up Guardian reading tosspots, aren't they? Led by Trudeau. And before him, his dad. Trump's right. They wouldn't survive without America. And if they're picking a fight with America, they need their heads examining. He wants it to be the 51st state, which I think's a shame, because I'd like Britain to be. I'm only half joking, by the way. Where else? Who's the other one? Panama. Well, he's just said the Panama Canal needs to be a canal for everyone, and we can't carry on with it being a hostage to fortune. No. He said, I've had enough of it. Just like the Gulf of Mexico, calling it the Gulf of America. Well, technically it is, isn't it? It's in Florida, the major part of it. I've been there. I've always thought it was odd that it was the Gulf of Mexico. See, I've got to be careful because I'm kind of agreeing with everything. I don't agree with everything Trump says. But imagine me. I think I would have trouble with dealing with Trump. Starmer is just going to get hammered into the ground. And he'll probably have that snivelling, 2 times sacked, lying, con man, Mandelson with him. Because he's now the ambassador. You couldn't make it up. How stupid are they giving him that job? When he called Trump all those names. Trump doesn't forget. Same with Lammy. And also, have you noticed Lammy's not been in the picture? Did he get on the plane? Has he gone with them? Or are they keeping him out of sight? When Starmer meets Trump, will he go on one knee? And which one? Or will he suck his toes, says Nigel Gordon. Yeah, we can never forget him taking the knee. Taking the knee, along with Angela Rayner. Virtue, signalling, TOSSPOTS. Just like they're probably Canadians. They are probably Canadians. We need Nigel Farage. That's what our country needs. Who agrees with me, says Tom Thornmore. Graham Eardley, Starmer is going to have serious Labour Party management problems. You're right, because he's upset a lot of them now. Starmer is on the same level of weakness as Biden was. He's a laughingstock. We have no real power on the global stage anymore. Honestly, Trump will whip him a bit. He'll whip his butt. That's what he'll do. That's why I've got him as a dog and on a lead. But the bottom line is about this. Starmer is trying to convince us he's the great statesman. I read some bits in the papers today. Who's that guy? Glenda Jackson's son. He doesn't use a name. He uses a different name. He writes in the Daily Mail. He's talking about how important it's the most important diplomatic meeting tomorrow since the Second World War. No, it's not. If Starmer didn't go at all, I love the way Trump said, if he wants to come, he can come. I'll make time to see him. He's not bothered. And I'm sorry, we Brits have got to understand that. Then am I bothered? No, says Trump. He's not. He's just gone ahead and done the deal. I did predict this in my podcast ages ago. I just said he'll do it even before he gets in power. And he did. As J.D. Vance said, the enemies in this country are within. That's Pom on YouTube. Thank you. Don't forget, it is on YouTube. It is on Facebook. It's on Twitter as well. And if you like it, go back to the videos and tweet them out or share them out to other people as well. And also, if you can keep pressing the like button on here, it all just makes the algorithm work better. The numbers are going up. I'm really pleased with it. But the more, the merrier. And just on another side issue, they've started this thing on YouTube now for me. I didn't even know what it was, but it's called Become a Member. And you can be a member for £1.99, right? No, 99p. But you can become a super member, a super fan for $2.99. Check it out. It's all on the YouTube page. But it would help. Just a little contribution. And then when your comments come up, you get your name up and you get a mark saying that, you're a proper fan. So you might want to do that. You might want to put a bit more money in and do buymeacoffee.com. As I say, all the big thanks are coming up on the screen at the moment underneath. That's great as well. That's anything from a £5 onwards. Remember, no one's funding me. I'm not being funded by the BBC to make Hamas movies with little boys whose dads are terrorists. I'm not doing that. I got no money, right? So I'm relying on you. So I'm sorry it sounds like I'm begging. I don't think it is, because I think I'm giving you great quality, right? So I think that's worth a £5 of anyone's money. And I certainly think you should become a member. Then you'll definitely get notification every time I'm going to go live, every time I've made a video. And that's only 99p a month, I think it is. But it's a peanuts. Or you can go for the other one, which I think is $1.99 or $2.99. And then you become a super fan. You're on form tonight, says Jed. Well, Jed, I'm expecting you then to become a member at the end of this show, or at least buy me a coffee. If foreign aid were moderated effectively on the back end, and not just lying in the pockets of corruption in the recipient country, they wouldn't take half as much. You're absolutely right. And he also, Jedi, go back to him, he says, you have to ask, why are hotels being used? Why did we stop using old army bases and then process them there? We have British people living in awful conditions and we're told there's no money. BS. I agree with you entirely. I do believe in the old adage, charity begins at home. When we've got ex-soldiers shouting and screaming with post-traumatic stress on the streets of London, Birmingham, Manchester, Bradford, wherever you want to be, and without a home, surely they've got to be looked after first, haven't they? We're mad. We are mad. Mickey says he'd support becoming the 51st state as well. Gruner says on YouTube, I hope Starmer's taken a few pairs of brown trousers. I think I know where you're coming from. Bobby V. Patriot John Gaunt calls for the UK to... Here we go. Here's the lefty trying to twist what I've said. Patriot John Gaunt calls for the UK to be the 51st state. Think about that. Why did we leave the EU? You're a prat, mate. I definitely qualified with what I said by saying I'm only half joking. And I'd rather be part of the United States than the EU, Bobby V. But Bobby, why are you bothering? Why are you... Here he is. Look, just so you know. Look, there he is. Let's make him a star. There he is. Bobby, why do you bother? Why do you bother? If you hate me that much, don't listen. Dead simple. I tell you what, I'm going to make it easy for you. Ban user and delete the comment. There you are. Bye, bye, bye. Stelios, chucks away. I just don't get it. I didn't used to like Dave Lee Travis, so I never used to listen to him. I don't get it. Trump will be like, why are you here again, Starmer? Come back when free speech, defence and border issues are sorted in your own country. I think you're right, Pom. That is probably what he'll say. I think he's going to treat him with complete disdain. Starmer will paint it as if he's got some part of the deal. It was down to him. We're going to be used as peacekeepers. I'm not very keen on that, if I'm honest with you. But at least we've got somebody in charge who knows what they're doing. But if I find out, and I'm sure you're as angry as me, this is a smokescreen for the Chagas, I'm going to go absolutely ape, let me tell you. What else have we got? So, will Starmer make a difference? No, he won't. Macron, Zelensky, and all the US deals, where do we stand? Nowhere, really. It's just pathetic. It's just pathetic. And we could have been right involved in this. Trump said this in this press conference today with his cabinet. You know, he said, well, if Biden had got his act together, all those people wouldn't be dead. It could have been avoided. Of course, it started because Putin, I'm saying this bit, invaded. He rolled the tanks in, but it could have been nipped in the bud. I was saying this years ago. It's ludicrous that we've let it develop into this. I just don't understand why it happens. Well, I do. It's because the leaders we had, none of them have got a backbone. None of them. And it's like when I think I've got 90,000 reactions when I made the point, you know, who you're backing. I did a little video thing, who you're backing, Starmer or Trump. And I got all the lefties coming on. But when you turn around to them and say, so what would you do? What's your option? They either come out with, give all the land back that Russia's stolen. That's like sixth form, isn't it? Pathetic. That ain't going to happen. Let's live in the real world. Okay. Or they say America's not done enough in the first place. It's always America's fault. And then Trump, of course, at the moment is winding them up. Have you seen his video about Gaza? He wants to make Gaza the new Riviera. Well, that video he's done today that he's put out, it's an AI video. Fantastic. He's basically saying to all those countries, Jordan and the rest of them, sort it out. Otherwise, I'll sort it out on my terms. United States will sort it out. And it'll become our playground. He's got no intention of doing it. But God, it winds up the liberals, doesn't it? Like the liberals are so wound up about this peace deal. Imagine if Biden had imagine if Biden had brought forward this idea. The BBC and everybody would be behind it. They would all be hoping it would work out. There'd be none of this cynicism. They wouldn't say Biden like they say Trump, do they? As if they've got you know what on their shoes. I just think it's, hang on a minute. The reporting has been so biased. So I just really do hope he pulls off the deal this weekend. I really do. And Ukraine get back in their box. They get what they want. The Russians get back in their box. America says, I wouldn't mess with them again, because if you mess with them again, although we're not letting them into NATO, it will be like attacking a NATO country. That should shut up Putin. He wants to do deals with Putin, and he wants to do deals with China. Well, again, I can't see the problem with that. Unless you're a racist. You see, I think there's a lot on the left who are just out and out racist. I've missed you, John. I agree with most of what you say. I used to love your radio show. Off to Skittles now. We'll tune in soon. Cheers, Camden Tommy. Skittles. All right, that's the whole point. It's not about tuning in. This is the radio revolution. You watch when you want to watch. If you want to watch it live, fine. If then you've got to go out, go out. It'll still be here when you come back. Yeah? That's the beauty of doing podcasting and internet broadcasting. There'll be no live shows in the sense of, oh, I've got to get back because John's on whatever Poxy station at 10 o'clock in the morning. Fat chance of that happening anyway. But do you understand what I'm saying? That's gone. Linear has gone. Gorty, would you or have you considered standing for MP? A voice like yours in reform would be very powerful. I did actually at one point. I applied to be a candidate for UKIP. I know, I don't know why, but I did. I was quite close to Farage. He wanted me to do it, but I didn't pass. And the reason that they took my 500 quid, the reason they said I didn't pass was my politics. I wasn't up to date on my politics. I was doing a political show every day of the week. It was just, anyway, I'm glad I didn't actually. I'm glad I didn't. Problem is Putin may want Poland next. No, he won't. Why would he want Poland? Why would he want Poland? He won't. He hasn't really got a big enough military force now, but we certainly haven't either. Starmer made a geopolitical mistake when it became pretty clear the world has changed. And what Trump is doing with Russia, he should have joined Trump and not had a hissy fit with the other EU leaders. Thank you, Pom. I said exactly that 2 or 3 weeks ago. We're siding with the wrong people. We should be allied to the United States of America and Donald Trump on this issue, because you've got to be tough. You've got to have the forces. You've got to have the nuclear deterrence as well. And you've got to stand up to Putin. But you've also got to say to Zelensky, no, that's enough. And you've got to recognize that expansion that the EU stroke NATO was doing is correct. Today, Trump said, NATO, I'm not interested in NATO. NATO's finished. Not only is Trump saying you've got to pay more, Trump is not going to be in NATO. Now, a lot of people think that's highly dangerous. But I see his point of view. I do see his point of view. That's why we left the EU, to make our decisions and chart our own course. Yeah, but unfortunately, the establishment haven't let us leave. We haven't really left the EU, have we? We've still got freedom of movement and we've still got the European Court. So we haven't actually left. It's smoke and mirrors again. It's a bit like Starmer saying, I've got all this extra money for defence. It's because I believe in our boys and I believe in strong borders. You believe in strong borders? There's more holes in our borders, mate, than in Jamie Oliver's calendar. You wit. Anyway, that's me finished. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you agree with me. You don't have to agree with everything. But I think he'll come back with his tail between his legs. I believe that Trump will school him And I believe that Starmer is just useless. This is just another nail in Starmer's coffin. His political career. He's useless. He's finished. And the way he talks down to that Kemi is out of order. He's a bully. He can only do that with a little girl, a little woman. He can't do it on the big stage. He can't even give a speech without having bits of paper in front of him. What happened to all those acting lessons he was doing and voice coaching? What happened? And where's she disappeared to? The woman who was doing it. The woman who's married to the confessions guy. You couldn't make this up. And where's Lord Ali? We haven't heard from him recently. Is he still providing the suits? Oh, suits you, sir. Is he? I don't know. And the glasses. I just think but the problem is, I saw little Rishi today. He was on the telly talking about a good thing. He was talking about, he's leading a campaign for, I think, prostate cancer, something like that, to make sure everyone can get checked. So good on him for that. But he was useless, wasn't he? Liz Truss is trying to make out she's some right-wing genius. The politics is just a joke at the moment. Somebody said earlier, what do you make of reform? Well, I hope they get their act together. That's what I hope. That's what I hope. London Mayor needs chucking, or was that choking? Chucking as well, yeah. I can't even be bothered to talk about that little pipsqueak. All right. Thank you very much. If you've enjoyed it, please look at all the other videos on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, check out my YouTube channel, John Gaunt TV. If you're watching it on the telly, think about getting the podcast downloaded so you can always listen in the car, or you can listen when you're walking the dog. Get involved in the conversation. Get on my Twitter. Get on my Facebook. Become a member of my YouTube page if you fancy. Only 99p, cheap as chips. Although I noticed 6 or 7 people joined after the last broadcast, and they all became super fans. So thank you. I appreciate that. Paid a little bit extra. Thank you for that. That's good. And can you please, the most important thing is tell people that Gaunt is back. He's still funny. He's still objectionable. He still winds me up. But by God, it's better than anything on traditional telly or radio. It is, isn't it? There's not another show where you could have this kind of conversation. Huh? Or am I wrong? I don't know how I know that, because I never listen to any radio anymore. Anyway, that's me finished. I shall see you soon. Until then, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. Let's see what happens. We'll do another broadcast tomorrow when we'll really put the boot into Starmer the Smarmer. Until then, be good.